Hello everyone and welcome to the live stream. I hope that you're all doing good. Tonight we are going to be hanging out for a little while and we are going to be chatting about a bunch of different things that have happened over the past couple of days. Lots of updates to topics like Velma, DCU, stuff like that. But some of them I have covered in videos and I just kind of wanted to do or have different discussions around them. So one thing we're going to be talking about is the DCU, James Gunn's DC plans, because I did make a video talking about the backlash and how people are really pissed off that, of course, they are keeping Ezra and Amber, yet they are not working with someone like Henry anymore, even though you'd think that that would be beneficial for them since he would make them a shit ton of money. But I thought that we could just kind of talk about the shows and movies that we are going to be getting. So I thought that we could talk about that. I found this Velma article that I thought was pretty, well, I don't even know what to say about it. Velma handles toxic masculinity well, but botches another trope. The classic, oh yeah, let's try to, say this awful show is good, but let's also shit on it a little bit and say it's got some problems, and complain, because nothing that companies and creatives do is ever enough for individuals like this. But apparently they want to praise Velma's handling of toxic masculinity. Listen, there's nothing good about Velma in any way, shape, or form, and I always try to tell people, you know what, if you enjoy something, that's great. If you like Velma, you are, I think that you just need to watch actually good entertainment, because Velma is trash. That's the nicest thing I can say. We're going to be talking about the newest rumor with Embracer and Tomb Raider. So I had talked about how Amazon had obtained the rights to Tomb Raider, Embracer licensed it to them, but now we are seeing a rumor that has a cash amount. How much they paid to lease this IP, and apparently, according to this, Embracer leased the rights for $600 million, which is absolutely freaking insane. If that is true, we don't know. That is, I want to say, just absolutely nutty. I mean, I think that we would expect like 200 million. That seems fair. But 600 million is a hefty chunk of change. Thank you, Theater, for the $2 super chat. Gotta fly. Just wanted to thank you again, Vara. Thank you for stopping by, Theater, and thank you for the donation. I hope that your evening goes well. We're gonna be chatting about Hogwarts Legacy and some of the articles that I've already read in videos. Of course, there's new ones releasing, it seems like, every hour, because journalists and, hacktivists are desperate to get people to boycott Hogwarts Legacy. This one just came out. Ahead of Hogwarts Legacy, what has the cast of Harry Potter said about JK's transphobic comments? Of course, trying to play into people's nostalgia, saying, you love Harry and Hermione and Ron and the cast of the Harry Potter films, and that's okay that you love, these movies and these characters, but, what would these actors think? Don't you want to have the same opinion as these actors that you really like? And, that's another angle that we are now seeing. I thought that we would also tonight do the Wizarding World tests. Of course, Hogwarts Legacy releases on Tuesday, and while I initially wanted to do the Wizarding World tests on Tuesday, I think that we're all just going to want to get into the game, so I thought that tonight we would do the House, Patronus, and Wand kind of sorting. And if I get Gryffindor, I will be redoing the test. And if I get Gryffindor again, I will redo the test again. because I am not going Gryffindor. Gryffindor sucks. Gryffindor is filled with losers, and we will not be supporting them. Hashtag boycott Gryffindor. So I thought that we could kind of do the tests at the end of stream, get some preparation in order for for Hogwarts Legacy. Listen, I may have gotten Gryffindor again on a different test, but that's okay because we're not going Gryffindor, and I'm not a Gryffindor. I remember a couple months ago, we did some tests and we got Gryffindor, and I don't believe that. I believe that it is rigged. And I might have recently also done another quiz and gotten Gryffindor. I am not a Gryffindor. We're gonna do 2 sets. We're gonna do probably the first one, and if we don't get a good answer, we're gonna do a second one, and if we don't do another, we're gonna do a third one. I don't care which house I am besides Gryffindor. I feel like everyone's gonna go that route. I don't like Gryffindor. Ravenclaw rules. I hope I get Ravenclaw. Typically, I get Gryffindor or I get Ravenclaw. That is the house that I would like to play the game as, but if it picks something else for me, we'll go with that. So yeah, those are the topics for tonight. Oh, also I have a couple of side topics that I thought maybe we could discuss, like the Witcher creator, Andre, recently did some interviews kind of about the future of the franchise, and he talked about Blood Origin, and he didn't really give a solid answer on it. But when he was asked about Blood Origin and his thoughts on it, he simply said, "I've seen better, I've seen worse." Which to me is a complete PR statement, because he's not saying he hates it, it's the worst thing ever, but he's also not lying by saying it's amazing. I feel like he definitely doesn't want to, you know, go against it too much, but I thought that that was pretty funny. I've seen better, I've seen worse. Also, if we get a chance, maybe we'll read this article. I might do a video on this. This apparently released, like a week and a half ago, and I didn't see this article. It's not like it's anything really new. It's the classic, you know, Lord of the Rings, racist legacy article that we see pop up every couple of months. But it says, Dungeons and Dragons still bears Lord of the Rings influence for better or worse. As D&D goes through yet another period of corporate woes, elements of a racist legacy inherited from Lord of the Rings lives on. So I thought maybe we could chat about that as well. But yeah, hi guys, welcome on into the stream. Those are the topics we're going to be chatting about tonight. I'm sorry I didn't do this stream on Tuesday, if you only really like the discussion streams, because we were finishing Dead Space, which I'm happy about. Y'all are jumping to conclusions about Tomb Raider. Y'all need to go see what the Tomb Raider game in the show will look like. Seriously, y'all are jumping to conclusions. Seriously, you are getting mad over the fact that we're talking about speculation. I mean, we're speculating about what Amazon is going to do with Tomb Raider. Amazon has fucked up multiple properties already. Embracer probably doesn't even really care. And you haven't even heard my opinions on Tomb Raider. I mean, I did a video 2 days ago talking about how I personally think that this is going to be a negative for Tomb Raider. But I also said in that video, you know, ultimately we'll have to see. I mean, I don't like to be too negative, but also I'm not gonna give a shitty company the benefit of the doubt when they have done like no good. Yeah, we'll do the Hogwarts tests later. I'm not going to show any of the leaks on the stream, and we're not really going to talk about it, but a bunch of the game has leaked. which is honestly not very surprising since we're pretty close to the release of the game. But a bunch of it leaked online, so be careful if you are someone who doesn't want any spoilers. I would stick off of social media over the next few days. Just be careful, because the first, I think it's like half hour or hour of cutscenes leaked where you get sorted, you get your wand, like that whole process, and then a whole written timeline of the game and all of the major events has leaked, and some of the, major scenes between established characters and your character have also leaked online. So be careful. Hopefully you do not face any spoilers if you like to go into a playthrough blind, even though that's offensive now. Hello, Mr. Toxicity. Hope your night is going well. Woke Tomb Raider. I genuinely hope that the Tomb Raider situation will not be god-awful. I want to be positive. I want them to create good content. I love Tomb Raider. I don't know, though. I don't want to be too positive about it because, well, Amazon. You know how that goes. But alright guys, let's get into the first topic at hand, which is going to be the DC universe. Because I already did a video kind of on the backlash facing this, I thought that we could just chat about the shows and movies that have been announced pretty quickly, just so you could get my general opinions on the announcements. So it says James Gunn's DC universe plan revealed 10 movies and shows beginning in 2025. I like DC. I've always preferred the DC characters over the Marvel characters. I am not very impressed with everything that we have been hearing so far. I find it hard to want to support, James Gunn's vision with DC. After firing great actors, or not firing, simply not hiring them, like Henry Cavill. Any projects with Ben Affleck are scrapped, and yet they keep people like Amber and Ezra. I'm sorry. That to me is just not a good idea. I don't know what kind of blackmail material Ezra has on the people working on these movies at DC, at Warner Brothers, but he's clearly got some kind of blackmail material, because if Ezra was any other actor, they would have already been canceled off of this project, like, I don't know, 15 times. But here are some of the movies. Superman Legacy. Gunn is currently writing the screenplay, and Safran is hopeful the filmmaker will also direct the DC movie. It says it will not be an origin story, but will focus on Clark's struggle to balance his superhero life with his human one. The story will also explore Superman being a beacon of kindness in a world that believes kindness is old-fashioned. I don't know. We'll see what happens with this. I'm just not a big fan of this description. It just sounds boring. Maybe when the movie comes out, it'll be good. Superman Legacy sounds kind of dull, though. The Authority. Gunn is currently outlining the film, which will be based on Wildstorm characters. The DC imprint will be brought into the main universe with the live-action movie. Again, meh. It explores anti-heroes who have good intentions while having to go to extremes due to how broken the world is. Very clearly an ongoing theme. Kindness is in a world where kindness is old-fashioned, the world is broken. Yeah. Are you trying to, draw parallels to the real world currently? Think that kindness is old-fashioned? If we get any references to online toxicity, I'm gonna hurl. Also, another running theme, Gunn is writing the screenplay and he's going to direct it. Gunn is currently outlining the film. Gunn is working on it. Gunn has already written several episodes of it. I like with projects there being, a key figure that has a vision, who holds projects together, but I don't know. It seems like a lot for Gunn to do. Can Gunn really run this whole operation while also writing and directing and producing. I just don't think he's got all of that in him. It says The Brave and the Bold. This will be a Batman and Robin story with a new star set to play the Dark Knight. Robert Pattinson and Ben Affleck will therefore not be starring in this film. I like this idea. A Batman and Robin story. I like that idea, but my problem is another new Batman. It's kind of weird. I mean, I'm all for having Batman stories, whether it's movies or TV shows, but it just seems like a lot of Batman. Well, Ben Affleck is out, even though we've heard rumors that he ended up filming for The Flash. We don't know if they're actually going to put that in The Flash now. Probably not, but at least we have Robert Pattinson and whoever this Batman will be. Also, they apparently removed Batman from... What other Batman? Oh, Batman was supposed to be in the Batgirl movie, and they're not doing that anymore. So that Batman, even though it was an existing Batman, isn't, you know, coming to life on the big screen. Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. I have to look more into this because there was previously a Superman Man of Tomorrow series, and I believe Tom King's recent DC run, which was Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, came out in like 2021, end of 2021 or early 2022. I don't know much about it, but it says while Superman was raised on Earth with kind parents, Supergirl stayed on a piece of Krypton that drifted off. It will explore her life as she was forced to see many loved ones die tragically. So basically it's, you know, a story where she's going through trauma. From what I understand, to me, I don't know, does it sound exciting? Not really, but I'm willing to give it a chance. We've got Swamp Thing, a project that I actually have interest in. We got zero information on. And then for the TV shows, we get Creature Commandos, Waller. I do not care about Amanda Waller. I do not give a singular fuck. If I had a singular fuck to give, it would not be wasted on Waller. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. How many times do I have to say that? Who even cares? Nobody. Lanterns. I hope that this will be good. I'm excited for it. I love Green Lantern. Oh my fucking god. I love Green Lantern. So good. And we've got nothing Green Lantern. I'm sad. I'm a sad person with the fact that we have been robbed. We'll see what happens with this, but that is definitely one of my most anticipated just pieces of content on this list. Paradise Lost, which is going to be a Wonder Woman prequel series in the style of Game of Thrones. I love Game of Thrones. I really do. But that could mean, like, so many things. They're saying that they want it to explore the political game that is played in the society of what women do in order to gain power. I don't know. I feel like it could be a Game of Thrones where it's written really well and it's executed well, and I also feel like it could go in the complete other direction, and then it could just be straight up propaganda, narrative-filled garbage, and then it's going to be really bad. I would love it to lean more into the Game of Thrones direction, but is it going to? I don't know. Oh, and then we got Booster Gold. A series focusing on the future tech superhero with imposter syndrome is in the works. That's just gonna get canceled. That's gonna get canceled. I have to say, I think that some of this sounds good. You could definitely see the projects where my excitement lies. I just think that this is far too much for James Gunn. He's writing some of this, directing, producing, he's running this operation. I don't think he can do it all. Maybe he can. And even if he can do it, that doesn't mean that it's going to all be good. But as you can see, there's just a lot going on with the DCU right now. I want Cavill. I want Affleck. Hell, I would like to see Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman again. I want the DCU we saw years ago that we were hopeful for. I don't know. A lot of these projects definitely raise a lot of red flags for me. Again, you know, a Game of Thrones, what it's like to be a woman fighting for her spot in society, a beacon of kindness in a world that believes kindness is old-fashioned, anti-heroes who have good intentions, but the world is broken, Supergirl going through trauma. I haven't seen any of the content yet. It's going to be quite a few years. Maybe Elder Scrolls 6 will come out before we get all these shows and movies. But lots of red flags. So, yeah, that's all that I really had to talk about that. We'll move on to Velma in a minute. I know everyone's favorite show. We love Velma. I am not interested in any of this at this point. Yeah. It's sad. Hollywood will disappoint you, Vara. They always do. Well, there's some content that still releases that is good, or that is at least, you know, acceptable. I don't think that all content that releases nowadays is trash. It's just like a 70-30, and that's counting things like video games. And 70 is not the positive, unfortunately. A lot of the same stuff from game makers. What do you mean? Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different characters that they could have used. I feel like most of these choices are the safe bets. But I also think that some of this content is gonna get canceled. Like, I don't think all of that will come out. I think that is their overall plan. But they've even said, like, in the future, they're going to reevaluate with Ezra and potentially use Ezra in another movie, which, of course, isn't on that slate, which I'm sure will be added to it. Makes me sad. Elder Scrolls 6, we still need Starfield. Well, they're working on both. We'll probably get Starfield, like, end of this year, early next year. I don't think that we're going to get it anytime soon. I think that Elder Scrolls 6 will not come out until 2025 to 2026. At this point, I am more confident. I do believe that Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to come out before Elder Scrolls 6. Because, don't forget, like half a year ago, there were the GTA 6 leaks. And from what we saw in those leaks, which could have been fake, but they didn't seem fake, they had quite a lot of the game down. Of course, it wasn't polished and it wasn't completed, but they had like all of the groundwork laid out. It looked like a game. Not a good game because it, again, had problems, but it looked like a game. We know nothing about ES6. So, I think we'll see GTA 6, honestly, I think end of next year. We'll see Starfield end of this year, GTA 6 end of next year, and yeah, Elder Scrolls 6 in like 2025 or 2026. If GTA 6 comes out, please watch out for poor Sam Maggs. Yeah, I wouldn't want her to be traumatized by a video game again for like the third time. That would be very tragic for her. When GTA 6 launches, the world will explode. Yes, I think it is going to be the largest gaming event that we have seen in a very long time. I do think, though, while it will be a larger release than Elden Ring, I don't think it will be a larger release by much. I think that the difference is that Elden Ring got some normies to play it, but I wouldn't say I think that Elden Ring is intimidating. I think it intimidated people. You know, Dark Souls, the Souls-esque formula, that's spooky to a lot of people. So, I feel like more normies will buy GTA 6, even though Elden Ring did fantastic. I think it'll be a larger release, but I don't think by much. I don't think we're talking about like 30 million more copies sold in a month. I think we're talking about maybe like 5. But anyway, guys, let's talk about Velma now. Velma handles toxic masculinity well, but botches another trope. Velma handles nothing well, and nothing about Velma deserves to be praised. But, of course, CBR decided to put up this article. Uh-oh, chat. Spoilers for Velma. Be careful. It says, Velma makes fun of simping. Velma comes off informative in its own profane way, nodding to how Harley Quinn used comedy to expose Joker's nasty ways. Here, Fred enlightens himself on objectifying women. By contrast, Freds are further proof of toxic masculinity passed down through generations. Luckily, Shaggy learns to stop feeling entitled to Velma just because he's a good friend. He illustrates how to remove the blinders and adjust the male gaze in a town where women are mistreated, disrespected, and now murdered. Instead, he recalibrates his life, finding love with the artistic, enlightened Gigi, who ironically learned about being her true self thanks to Velma, but in the process they both exploit Shaggy, making fun of his simping. What's especially disturbing about this presentation is that he is genuinely trying to be a good guy. For the show to ridicule him on that, especially as he's trying to evolve, is very tone deaf. Ugh, this article is awful. How many keywords can we shove in here? I'm so sick of hearing things like toxic masculinity, tone deaf, male gaze. They're all just trash. And it's like these characters making fun of his simping. Is it really that serious? Is it really tone deaf? Who cares? It's a comedy. It's not a very funny comedy, and typically comedies are supposed to be hilarious. It's a, in quotes, comedy. But now, these people who praise Velma for being stunning and brave are saying, you know what, it's really not all that stunning and brave all the time. Velma has a double standard. The term simping is being tossed around a lot, berating guys who are genuine, selfless, caring, and honest with women. That's not what simping is, but okay. Thus, it's a trigger term. Oh my fucking god. Thus, it's a trigger term for bullying and another way males express unhealthy feelings towards each other, making it seem as if men are weak for being nice and not having ulterior motives. Instead of breaking that stigma, however, Velma leans into the idea of taking advantage of Shaggy, hatching a plan to bring him back as a detective behind Gigi's back to find her missing mom. Oh, cry me a river and float upstream. Oh no, simping is bullying. Saying someone's a simp is bullying because it just berates guys who were genuine, selfless, caring, and honest with women. That's not when men are called simps. Men are called simps when a woman does something and they can do no wrong. No matter what they do, these people find a way to white knight for them. I mean, simping and white knighting is, basically the same thing. You come to a woman's defense, even if she doesn't need it. No matter what she does, you're always going to defend her, like Chris with Anita. Thank you, Kat, for the $5 super chat. Why do you think the showrunners for DC Animation keep it more true to comics than the live-action ones do? Stay well and pure Vera. Thank you for the 5. I don't know. I feel like there's this mentality with creatives in Hollywood that is like, oh, we're using real people and they have to dress, they actually have to wear clothes and act a way. And so when you're using real actors, it feels more real. So they feel like they have to change things and stray away from the comics because the comics are unrealistic. Thank you for the 5, and thank you, Buck, for the $10 super chat. Now I can't watch because of spoilers. Thank you. I would not recommend you waste your life watching this garbage. But thank you for the 10. Much appreciated. Uh-oh. Everyone laughing. That was pretty low. I'm sorry, Chris. Actually, I'm not. Velma is okay. They're talking about simping more. Later, Shaggy ends up helping Velma clean her house up after a party so her parents don't know what happened, admitting, I'm doing this because it's the right thing to do. I'm simping for myself. This article is trash. This show is trash. Nobody waste your time watching Velma. It's really not worth it. But it's just funny to see how these journalists act. Because of course they in the first half try to defend the show, saying they're brave and bold and stunning and awesome, but then they say, you know what, we don't think that the show is perfect because it's not enough. It doesn't do enough. We've seen that a lot lately where the media does this. They say something is great and amazing, but oh, they could have done this differently and that differently, and they could have changed things slightly and it would have been way more impactful. This is why you don't make decisions like this as a creative. You're never gonna make them happy, and it's a problem in general. Nobody is going to be happy with everything you do, which is why creatives shouldn't change their vision because a group of people get mad at them. It's why creatives should just create what they feel passionate about, because if it is a good product, then consumers will end up following and supporting it. But we're seeing it happen more and more. You can't make these people happy. They will always find something to complain about, and this is just more freaking proof of that. It handles toxic masculinity well, allegedly, but it botches other tropes. So dumb. But now we're gonna be chatting about Tomb Raider and $600 million. That's a lot of cash. That is a lot of monies. That's a lot. The art style of the characters is so ugly. Yeah, I always try to find something positive in content. There is nothing positive out of Velma that I can find. I do not like the characters. I do not like the art style, the writing, the voice acting, yeah, anything. There's nothing that is good about this piece of trash show. In my opinion, maybe some people out there love it. That's great if you do. You have bad taste. Chats. Tomb Raider. The other day, I talked about the Tomb Raider situation and some of the initial news that we got on Tomb Raider. If you do not know, go and watch that video. But, yeah, well, Hollywood is digging their claws into Lara Croft and Tomb Raider more, because Embracer leased Tomb Raider to Amazon, which of course is a pretty big red flag. Amazon has made some very questionable decisions with very beloved content over the past few years, and they announced alongside this, you know, Tomb Raider-filled future that Phoebe Waller-Bridge is supposed to be doing some of the brainstorming and writing for at least a Tomb Raider TV series for Amazon. Phoebe Waller-Bridge, of course, you know, was part of the most recent James Bond movies. She is a supporter of the Me Too movement. She was the one who said that they wanted to bring James Bond into the Me Too era. She also is part of Indiana Jones, Dial of Destiny, and she plays his granddaughter, correct? And the rumor was that she was going to be basically the next Indiana Jones and she was going to take his place. The rumor now is that that is not what they are doing because they saw all the backlash to it, but regardless, now, alongside these Tomb Raider leasing rumors, another has emerged, because it says Embracer leased Tomb Raider rights to Amazon for $600 million freaking dollars, which is just an insane amount of money. So it says a report claims that Amazon may have gained access to the Tomb Raider franchise for $600 million on a leased arrangement. The beloved IP has only grown in popularity in recent years, mostly owing to Square Enix's soft reboot of the trilogy. I talked about this in my other video. I liked the newer Tomb Raider games, the 2013, 15, and 17 games. I didn't think they were terrible, but I definitely fell off on the third one. I was not a big fan of the direction that they were, taking her story in and the changes that they made to the character. She just became, very snarky. I don't know, I wasn't a big fan. But, of course, I love Lara, I love Tomb Raider, and I want them to do good with this IP. But it says Amazon's seemingly keen interest in the franchise could mean that there's a lot more Lara Croft to come in the near future, and it's being said that they want to try to do an MCU universe, and not just an MCU with Tomb Raider. It says recently Amazon announced that it's planning a Tomb Raider TV series headed by Phoebe Waller-Bridge, along with a brand new movie. Now that is all we know at this point that they had confirmed in the initial announcement, but it sounds like they want to do a shit ton. They want to pump up the content, they want to make, multiple series, movies. We've heard some rumors, about video games and their plans for that. It says, according to Fellowship of Fans, a site that has previously published accurate plot lines of the Rings of Power series, the Embracer Group has reportedly leased the rights to Amazon for $600 million. Although it should be pointed out that the currency was not mentioned in the story. In any case, though, should the deal become official, it would be Amazon's second biggest commitment after the Rings of Power. And of course, I talk about Embracer a lot because usually they're making way in the gaming industry, and now we're seeing lots of major deals going on here, especially on the entertainment side of things. Embracer is making fucking bank right now. They spent $300 million in total on 3 big purchases from Square Enix. They got Eidos, Square Enix Montreal, and Crystal Dynamics, which of course included Tomb Raider. So let's say they spent $100 million on each of those groups. They just made $500 million profit. They doubled the whole purchase with this one deal overall, because again, they spent $300 million on Eidos, Square Enix Montreal, and Crystal Dynamics. So they just doubled that shit. And Amazon has also been shilling out a lot of money for these IPs as well. Of course, I've talked about Lord of the Rings a lot. They paid $250 million, and now they're paying the $600 million for this, allegedly. It's all kind of one big loop, though, because Embracer owns Middle-earth Enterprises, and now they own Tomb Raider. So it seems like Embracer and Amazon have a lot going on right now. Maybe there's kickbacks. Maybe Embracer says if you pay $600 million for Tomb Raider, we'll expand like your Lord of the Rings contract, or if you need to license anything else, it's half price. We don't know if there's any other promises, but it seems very likely. These are massive deals going on. I don't know. I want to be hopeful, right? I want to say, wow, they've put a lot of money forward. They're really excited. Amazon's making Tomb Raider. Again, Wheel of Time, Rings of Power. We've also heard that Amazon wants to do the Warhammer 40k series with Henry Cavill. That is up in the air. There are no contracts set in place right now, and if Game Workshop says, you know what, we don't like this deal, that's it. I mean, it falls through. There's no set in stone contracts with the Warhammer 40k series, and with them spending this much money right now, it's a major red flag for Henry Cavill fans and Warhammer 40k fans. But trying not to get too off topic and go into kind of everything Amazon is doing right now, yeah, that is a massive amount of money to spend, and I love Tomb Raider. I want there to be good content. I was honestly kind of sad that they canceled the Tomb Raider 2 movie, because they had Alicia Vikander as Lara a couple of years ago, and they were going to do a sequel, but recently they killed that sequel. That honestly made me kind of sad. Did I think that she was a perfect version of the character? No. Would she have been my first choice as an actress? No, but I was entertained, and that to me is ultimately just kind of what matters. Even if someone isn't perfect, if they can do a good job, then it works for me. And it kept me entertained, even though it wasn't perfect, and I would have liked to see a sequel. We get into the conversation of, are they gonna wokeify Lara and Tomb Raider? We don't know. That's not like confirmed or anything, but it is Amazon, and Amazon does have inclusion and diversity policies in place for all of their content, which, of course, red flags. This is why a lot of people do not like, you know, Amazon Prime Video and studios and all of their projects lately. I've said it 100 times. I'll say it 1,000 more. I'm all for diversity and inclusivity. All types of people should be represented in entertainment, but the problem is having things like inclusion and diversity policies where you're telling creatives you have to do X, Y, and Z or else your content doesn't get shipped. I don't necessarily agree with that. I'm seriously worried for Warhammer. I am as well. I think that they want to do Warhammer and they plan to do Warhammer, but there's no contracts in place. So that could just get thrown out. And apparently behind the scenes, like, Games Workshop wanted a lot of creative control. Amazon could just say no. You get no creative control, and we just shove money your way and we make the show, and then the deal from there could break. And then we wouldn't even get the Warhammer 40k series, which would be so depressing, because that's what we've been told Henry Cavill is working towards. In my opinion, I'm not convinced that it's going to fall through. I think they will do something with Warhammer, but what it will be, I don't know. Will they do one season of a show and be like, that was cool? Will they do one direct-to-streaming movie and go, that was cool? Maybe. Maybe it will not be like this giant expanding universe with all these cool stories. Maybe they'll just be like, you know what? Let's appease Cavill fans and just give him this series. But we'll see. But yeah, lots going on with Embracer and Tomb Raider and Amazon. I've talked a lot about Embracer in other videos. If you go to the channel and you type in Embracer, you'll see, you know, my initial reactions to them purchasing all these different things from Square Enix. I might make a video on this. I'm not necessarily sure, but I at least wanted to talk about it tonight. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, topics, feel free to let me know in chat. Also, guys, quickly, before we move on to the next topic, if you're enjoying the live stream, make sure to give it a like. If you're not, give it a dislike. Check out links in the description. Become a member, donate, support the channel because YouTube hates me. Thank you for being here. Thought Cavill was the producer for Warhammer 40k. So when they initially announced the Warhammer 40k project, they said that he was set to produce, but there's not actually any contracts in place. They don't have like an official agreement. So they could just so what they did, from what it sounds like, is exactly what DC did with Cavill, where they told Cavill, go ahead and announce that you're going to be playing Superman again, because of course he was in Black Adam as the cameo. They told him, you have a future in the DCU. We're going to be making movies with you, so announce to your audience that you're coming back as Superman, and then they dropped him. The same thing might happen for Warhammer 40k, guys, which is sad, but he announced Warhammer 40k, they said they were very excited, he's set to produce, and boom, it could fall through the same exact way, which is very sad. We don't know, though, you know? It's great to be positive. We can be positive about it. Food talk. Oh, food talk? What's your favorite food? I don't know, like appetizer, entree, dessert, drink. Like, you have to be more specific. I can't just yell out one favorite food. That can't happen. Embracer owns limited run games. Yeah, that is true. That is true. Embracer does own limited run games, and they of course fired Cara Lynn. Embracer owns a lot. Embracer is just is kind of nutty. I have a list of their mergers here. We can't go through them all and all the values because we'd be here all freaking day. And I have talked about them before, but they have Co-Media, they have Saber Interactive now. I mean, look at all these smaller indie studios. They have Gearbox, which has like Aspire. They have Asmodee, which is kind of crazy. They have Dark Horse Media. They have Beamdog. They have assets of Square Enix Europe, which of course was Crystal Dynamics, Eidos Montreal, and Square Enix Montreal. They have Limited Run Games. They have Middle-earth Enterprises. They have Tripwire Interactive, Bitwave Games, Anime Limited. They have VR distribution companies. I mean, they have a lot. So we'll see what happens. Oh, they also have THQ Nordic. They have Deca. They got a lot. They are not messing around. That's for sure. But yeah, fun times. They are ripping through the entertainment industry, specifically gaming right now. Favorite Mountain Dew flavor? Original. And I would say Baja Blast, but you can make Baja Blast with the original flavor, so I'm gonna have to lock it in at original. Because all you'd have to do is like add grape soda. It's a great Mountain Dew. You could add more lemon or more lime or orange to make Baja Blast. I mean, it's the basis to all of them. Whoops. I just heard Microsoft got rid of Kiki Wolfkill, who was in charge of the Halo series. I saw something about that. Yeah, apparently they got rid of her, and she, of course, yeah, was part of the TV show. But the TV show is, season 2 is already in production, so she's probably still gonna be part of the second season. It doesn't even matter, though. They couldn't even freaking save it if they wanted to. She, oh yeah, Halo TV boss leaves 343 Industries. She's still working on the show, so there's no hope that that's gonna get better. Limited Fun Games. Such a sad situation. They never made any fucking statement. They never said anything. Which I think was pretty bad of them. They should have made some kind of statement and been like, you know, we get it, like, we probably shouldn't have fired her, we're sorry. They never said anything, and I believe, let me check their Twitter, I believe they still have their tweets locked, little bitches. Limited Run Games, I think that they still have their tweets locked. Yeah, they do, so you can't actually reply to them. They get, like, no interaction. They have 237,000 followers, 62 likes, 51 likes, 40 likes, 41 likes, 50 likes. I could tweet out, like, an exclamation point or a question mark right now, and at least 50 of you would like it. Not to dunk on limited run games, but also to dunk on limited run games. Fun times. But, yeah, guys, we're gonna move on to the next topic, which, we'll talk about D&D. Let's talk about Dungeons and Dragons and Lord of the Rings. I think that I might make a video on this. We'll talk about this, and then we will talk about Hogwarts Legacy, and then do the tests. So this article came out about a week and a half ago, and I actually didn't initially see it. I was doing some digging, looking for, you know, topics to cover, interesting news that's happened, and I saw this, and even though it is a week and a half old, I don't really think it's that big of a deal. This is a topic I've had to discuss before. This will not be the last time I have to discuss this, but CBR decided to put out this piece saying Dungeons and Dragons still bears Lord of the Rings influence for better or worse. As D&D goes through yet another period of corporate woes, elements of a racist legacy inherited from Lord of the Rings lives on. We saw the word racist, I believe, twice in the Velma article, and now once, so everybody take 3 shots. It says fantasy was infinitely changed by the Lord of the Rings novels written by Tolkien. From the way that fantasy narratives were written to how the worlds were built, there is little that wasn't touched or altered by Tolkien, his novels marking out what fantasy would be for the next near century. However, this influence comes with downsides. Though Tolkien was quite progressive for his time, several of the ideas and implications in Lord of the Rings were based upon antiquated, problematic, or outright racist ideas. Oh, shot 4. So first of all, I think that this is pretty interesting. We see this happen where CBR before has said that Tolkien's opinions were outdated, just like they are now. But they word it in such a way that you can't say that they're attacking Tolkien with this sentence. They are in general attacking Tolkien and his legacy, but they say, though he was quite progressive for his time, several of the ideas that he put into his books were problematic or outright racist. So they try to not directly attack him as an individual, but they decide to attack his legacy,
Uncle
which of
Buck
course
donated
is just
$5.
shitty. Thank
You do
for
a
the
great
5.
job. Happy to donate. Thumbs up.
Awesome, thank you. I appreciate your support. Everybody, get ready because we're rewriting Lord of the Rings to be less racist. Entering Dungeons & Dragons, a fantasy-based role-playing game first published a mere 20 years after his writing, given the sweeping stranglehold that LOTR had over fantasy, it was only natural that D&D would mimic many of its aspects. Yeah, because they were successful and they were entertaining and people liked them. It's as simple as that. It says, though, however, it kept many of his ideas, making many of its characterizations and ideas non-inclusive and prejudiced. Though D&D has seen more than its fair share of controversy, the results of these racist ideas... That's 6 shots! We're gonna be wasted! Racist ideas still haunt it to this day. When you look for problems, you will find it. You will find those problems when you look for them. You can create problems out of literally nothing. And that is what these people do. They want to attack Lord of the Rings, they want to attack Tolkien, they want to attack Dungeons & Dragons, and instead of just saying, hey, this is content that everybody loves, it doesn't matter. They say, you know what, we found a racist issue and we're gonna blow it up. Thank you, Mr. Waifu Taker, for the 5 months. Shout out to you and many others for speaking out against this BS in entertainment and gaming. Sorry for not being around much. It's alright. People come, people go. People are busy, and that's the way that it is. Thank you for the 5. Dungeons & Dragons classics are partly from Tolkien. Yeah, Tolkien is the father of fantasy as we know it. Is it that much of a problem? No. His work was fucking amazing. I don't see these hacks creating anything better. It says traditional fantasy has always included characters of various associations, from knights and paladins to witches and wizards, and his version was no different, and D&D followed suit. However, he introduced many of the class aspects as they exist today. Some are more complex, while others are subtle changes to the mythos. For one, his rangers were a clear inspiration from D&D's ranger class, though a journeyman jack-of-all-trades has been a presence since fantasy immemorial. Tolkien's rangers, with their being a sort of fantasy cowboy, with some inspiration from World War II and learning, owing in part to the man's fascination with language. This is just a clusterfuck of how can we spin this to make Tolkien sound awful and to make the people behind D&D sound awful. This is such a fucking spin. The Tolkien's Rangers are fantasy cowboys with some inspiration from World War II. That's the best you can get out of his work. Yes, he had a lot of inspiration from World War II and many different things, but the way that they describe it is just so bad. It's like these people don't know how to write. It says the problematic portion enters when looking into the concept of essentialism, which states that all members of a group do or believe something simply because of what they are. Common stereotypes like all girls loving pink and the drow being evil fall into this. This belief that a group of beings can be essentially good or evil is well beyond antiquated. It's just racist. Not everything is racist or sexist or bigoted or homophobic. You might view it that way, but you're one of the very few. I am tired of seeing these arguments. Oh, Tolkien's writing and this person's writing, they're all racist and they're rooted in bigotry. People love his work. People do not view it this way. Again, I shouldn't say nobody does, and I don't think that nobody does, but very few people view it this way. It would agree with them. It says, Lord of the Rings undeniably influenced Dungeons & Dragons in ways both good and bad. In fairness to D&D, WotC has been making efforts to address the game's problematic aspects. This is the problem with people like this. As we mentioned, you can never do enough for these individuals. Wizards of the Coast has become very social justice heavy over the past couple of years. It's a major reason why I do not support them anymore, because they listen to lunatics like this. This is the problem. It doesn't matter what you do. They say WotC has been making efforts to address the game's problematic aspects, yet they still release articles like this. Because it's not enough for them. Thank you, Chris, for the 5, but then they don't get the clicks. That is very true. Ultimately, these journalists only give a fuck about the clicks, but companies need to recognize that. It doesn't matter if they write 100 or 1,000 articles about your game, it's never gonna be enough, because they're always gonna find something else to complain about. Let's say Tolkien's work was 100% clean and perfect, or imagine if someone rewrote Tolkien's work today for today's standards. In 50 years or 100 years, standards have changed. So whatever is created now will still never be enough. And that's the problem with sanitizing content. It's never going to be enough for people. That's why you shouldn't do it at all. If you don't like Tolkien's writing, if you don't like Dungeons & Dragons, go create something more successful. Go for it. If it's so fucking easy, and that's the type of content people want, toned down, censored, watered down content, go and make it. Prove to me that it can be more successful, because it can't, because that's not what people want. It's so stupid. But yeah, classic. They try to say that WotC's making efforts to address the game's future D&D content, but of course at the same time, they're complaining. They're saying, well, this content was still in the game. It's like when I talk about video games being censored. Yes, you can censor a game until the cows freaking come home. You're gonna censor it for the people that were complaining about the original content, but they're gonna say, you know what, I'm still not gonna support this game, even though you censored it and you gave in to my fucking demands, because that content was still in the game at one point or another. Then you have upset people who just wanted you to leave the original content and who supported your original vision, because they're not gonna buy your game because you censored it. But the people who said that they were gonna buy it didn't actually buy it, because even though you removed the content that they wanted, that content was still in the game. You can never win. Just make what you want. It's like I talk about all the time with just products that I view as shitty and not being good. Yeah, I might not like a game and I won't buy it, but I don't sit here and demand they change it, because even if they changed it, I still probably wouldn't buy it. But that's the difference, is I admit that. I just say, don't change it. If you want to go completely social justice warrior narratives filled to the fucking brim, go for it. You're not going to get my support though. It's so stupid. But yeah. Dungeons & Dragons apparently still bears Lord of the Rings influence, for better or worse, even though, of course, this article is only 4 worse. There's nothing 4 better in this. They don't give any credit to Dungeons and Dragons besides WotC has tried to change their content. Yeah, for fucking idiots like you who are never gonna be happy. Stupid. Anyway, guys, next we're gonna be chatting about Hogwarts Legacy, and then, right after we read this article, we're gonna do our sorting tests. We are gonna get ready for Hogwarts Legacy. We're gonna do our little sorting tests. We're not gonna get Gryffindor. If I get Gryffindor, I'm gonna flip. We're not gonna get Gryffindor. I would be happy with any other house. I hope I get Ravenclaw. I think if I am sorted into Ravenclaw, my mentality behind birds is going to change. I've always loved Ravenclaw, even though Raven, birds, I think I want to be a new person in 2023. I don't want to have a hatred for birds anymore. I like some birds. I like owls. I like ravens. I like those 2 birds. And if the sorting hat could just sort me into Ravenclaw, that would be great. But yeah, guys, we're gonna talk about Hogwarts Legacy in a minute. After that crack about me and Anita, she gets Gryffindor 50 times in a row. Nice grammar, Chris. Did Anita teach you that? It's Chris, come on. Come on. You do like her, though. And you do simp for her. Come on, Chris. It's okay. You know, that's just who you are. You should embrace it. Acknowledge it. What about eagles? Eagles are kind of lame because they're overused. And I've never fucking understood, why the fuck is the Ravenclaw symbol not a goddamn raven? Why is the Ravenclaw sigil a eagle? The name is Ravenclaw. Slytherins is a snake. Gryffindors is a griffin. What is this mentality? Stupid. Maybe we should cancel JK. Okay, we're gonna be chatting about Hogwarts Legacy. Of course, I uploaded a video today on Hogwarts Legacy. I've been covering Hogwarts Legacy a lot. We're all very excited for this game to finally release, even though some individuals online are trying to cancel it. Ahead of Hogwarts Legacy, what has the cast of Harry Potter said about JK's transphobic comments? And this is definitely a very interesting angle. It's a new angle, but it's an interesting angle because I think that it would work. I don't think it's going to get millions of people to boycott this game, but I think it might change the opinions of a couple hundred people. And geez, the boycott movement against Hogwarts Legacy needs all the people it can get behind it, because I think that there's like 100 people in the movement right now. This is an interesting angle because they are banking on nostalgia. They are saying, we get it. You love the movies. You have so much nostalgia from a time when JK wasn't controversial, and we respect that. But how would you feel if we told you Harry, Hermione, and Ron's actors all hated JK and called her transphobic? Don't you want to have the same opinions as these actors who played these characters that you love so much? It's such a manipulative angle. It says, in the wake of her anti-trans views becoming abundantly clear for the first time back in the summer of 2020, thankfully the so-called Golden Trio quickly spoke out against her opinions and in support of the trans community. I've said this a million times, and I'll say it a million more. It is fine if you do not like JK. It is fine if you disagree with her opinions. But don't tell people you need to boycott this video game because one person that I don't like profits from it. As I said in my video earlier, behind every piece of production, every piece of content that's ever been made, there's going to be someone behind it that you might not like. Whether it is a video game, a TV show, a movie, a book, there's always going to be someone profiting off of that content that you might not necessarily like. Whether it's a developer, a writer, a creative, a producer, an executive at a company, there's always going to be someone. You shouldn't boycott a game just because of one person. And I've stood by this. There are video games on this channel that I have live streamed, that I've talked about, that I've said, I really don't like this individual that's behind it, but I'm still going to play it and give it a chance because I don't boycott things because of one person. Unless they're like a convicted fucking criminal, right? That's different, because then we're talking about people who have proven in a court of law they've done very bad things. But this mentality, this is just so manipulative. Oh, your favorite actors don't like her, don't support her, so you should consider not, buying this game. This article also does mention some of the actors who have defended her, but of course they decide to paint it as, these people are lost. They've lost their way. They, maybe didn't understand how important it was to their fans that they spoke out against her. But it says the Golden Trio spoke out against her opinions and in support of the trans community. While all three have been careful not to disparage the author as a person, Daniel Radcliffe, Emma Watson, and Rupert Grint have made clear on at least 2 occasions each at the time of writing that they have no truck with her hurtful comments, much to the relief of their millions of fans. This article is not true. This is not correct. They're saying that they, do not disparage the author as a person. Yes, they do. Emma Watson has literally said, oh, I would come back to the franchise if they fired JK. If she handed her creation off to somebody else, I would come back to the franchise. That is delusional. And that is, disparaging her as a person. As a human being, JK is allowed to have her opinions. You might agree with them, you might disagree with them. Ultimately, they're just her saying, this is what I believe and this is my opinion. That doesn't mean that she should have her creation ripped away from her. It says, on the other hand, a trio of their fellow former Harry Potter stars have not come down so hard on her, while likewise attempting to distance themselves from her rhetoric and making clear they don't share her views. These 3 actors have nonetheless attempted to remain impartial in the matter and have refrained from speaking ill of the creator. Yeah, because they wouldn't have careers if it wasn't for her and her creation. Maybe 1 or 2 of them would have broken through and they would have, still made it as actors. But, I mean, if it wasn't for Harry Potter and JK, these people would not be, as successful as they are today. It says Felton's on-screen father, Jason Isaacs, ironically said much of the same to The Telegraph in January, although admitting that he didn't want to get drawn into the trans issues, which he feels are an extraordinary minefield. He stated, she has her opinions, I have mine, they differ in many areas. Yeah, which I completely agree with. You don't have to agree with everyone's opinions to view them just as a human being and say, okay, I mean, I respect you in general. I might not. There's 91 people in stream who should be liking the stream, becoming a member and supporting this channel, donating to help fight YouTube censorship. I might not agree with every person in this live stream chat. We might not agree on every issue in this entire world, but I respect you as a human being. And there's probably 2 or 3 trolls in here who don't respect me as a human being, and you should go fuck yourself. Lastly, Harry Melling, Dudley Dursley, offered something of a synthesis on the Golden Trio's responses with a neutrality of the on-screen Malfoys. He informed The Independent in January 2023, I can only speak for myself, and what I feel to me is very simple, which is that transgender women are women and transgender men are men. Yeah, again, that is his opinion. His opinion and JK's differ, But this is a good statement because it's not actually trashing her as a human being and her right to have an opinion. It's just saying she's got her opinion, I've got mine. And then it says, at the other end of the scale, 3 additional Harry Potter stars have strongly spoken out in her defense. Ralph Fiennes, absolute Giga Chad, Lord Voldemort, has decried the verbal abuse directed at the writer as disgusting and appalling, as well as maintaining that her views do not make her an uber right-wing fascist. Helena Bonham Carter appears to sympathize with herself, saying that there is a witch hunt around her, it's just that she thinks she's allowed to have her opinion. And of course, Robbie Coltrane waded into the debate prior to his death, commenting, "I don't think what she said was offensive, really." I feel so bad for Helena Bonham Carter. I love her. She is like one of my top Hollywood actresses. I fucking love her. And she has gone through so much shit over the past few years. First of all, with this, because of course people said that she was a bigot and istophobe because she defended JK. But also, she has gone into so many interviews lately where people have been so mean to her because she doesn't dye her hair, she doesn't do all these fancy skin treatments, and she says that aging isn't a bad thing, and I'm sick and tired of people acting like aging is a bad thing, and people always make comments about how she looks older. Yeah, no fucking shit, Sherlock, she's getting older. We all get older. I feel so bad for her. Also, Ralph Fiennes is a great actor as well. And it is disgusting and appalling what JK's going through. Even if I don't like someone, I don't think that they should get doxxed. I don't think that they should get attacked. I don't think that people should try to physically harm them. I don't think that people should be sending them death threats. And that is all stuff that JK has gone through. Also, Julian, thank you for becoming a Bronze Titan. Thank you for the membership. Much appreciated. All of these people were absolutely based. And yeah, Robbie Coltrane said that, you know, I don't think what she said was offensive, really. It's just her opinion. If you don't like it, close the stupid tab and don't look at what she says. It's just her opinion. It's not like JK was saying, we need to get these people. You know, we need to attack them. We need to do bad things to them. She wasn't saying anything like that. She just said, these are my opinions. Jesus Christ. But, yeah, I thought that this article was interesting. Just this angle, very manipulative, very gross. I can't really say that I'm all that surprised by it. But yeah, guys, we're gonna move on in just a second. We are gonna do our Wizarding World Hogwarts Legacy, pre-Hogwarts Legacy release tests. We have to be sorted into a house. We have to do our Patronus. We have to do our wand. From what I have seen, the houses can follow over into the game. Your Patronus doesn't, and your wand kind of does. So we're gonna, you know, preemptively before Legacy's release do this. I initially wanted to do this sorting at the beginning of the Hogwarts Legacy release stream, because on Tuesday Hogwarts Legacy releases, or the deluxe edition early access releases, and I will be streaming it on Tuesday. But on Tuesday we're gonna want to get into the game. We don't want to sit here and twiddle our thumbs and be like, I just got sorted into Gryffindor 6 fucking times. There goes an hour and a half of the stream. So we're gonna do it tonight. We're not gonna get Gryffindor. I can 100% say without a shadow of a doubt, we are not gonna get Gryffindor, and we are gonna get Ravenclaw. I'm a Ravenclaw, okay? I want to be in Ravenclaw, but I would go into any house except for Gryffindor. I have nothing against people in Gryffindor, but you guys are just the poster children of White Knights. You guys are just the most basic house. I'm sorry, but it's true. I don't like Gryffindor. It's overrated. And we're not a Gryffindor. We're about to get Ravenclaw first try. And if we don't, I'm deleting this account and I'm remaking the account with my email, and we're gonna keep going. We're gonna do it 20 times if we have to. Yeah, Gryffindors are normies. The copium is high tonight. Jesus. Denial. Okay, so we're gonna do that in a second. But yeah, chat, if you've been enjoying the stream, give it a like, donate, become a member. Thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. We're gonna put up a poll. A poll. Which house are you? I don't know how to spell all these houses. It doesn't have to be the one that you were sorted into. It could be the one that you want to go. But, answer. Answer. Also, if you guys have any questions, let me know. Can you only do this with, owning the game? No. If you go to wizardingworld.com, there is a test that anyone can do where you get your house, your Patronus, and wand. The only difference is that the reason why I'm doing it now is because when you do it and you link your Warner Brothers Games account that you're gonna need to actually get into the game in a couple days, you can link it so that you get extra bonuses, like, oh hey, I sorted myself early, so you get like a special skin and like a character profile portrait banner, and you get a couple of random things. But anyone can go to wizardingworld.com and sign up for it. Hashtag not sponsored, but they could sponsor me. So I hit the microphone. Sorry, chat. So, yeah, we're gonna do this, and we're gonna have a great fun time, and we are going to get something besides Gryffindor. Discover your Patronus, your Hogwarts house, and then the wand. We'll start with the house, right? Because if we don't get the house that we want, we're deleting account and recreating the account. You know? That's just how it goes. Slytherin? I figured everyone would want to go Slytherin. My thing is that I always do very neutral playthroughs. I never want to be the hero. I never want to completely be the villain. I like being a neutral Nelly. That typically leans more evil. I would totally go Slytherin, though. But yeah. I only know about the houses in Fire Emblem. Okay, chat. It is time to get started. Are you excited? Are you so excited? I am going to hide this screen real quick just to make sure that, like, emails and stuff don't pop up and it doesn't show my okay, I was gonna say my secret information. Why is it like this? That is not really better because you still cannot see the frickin' thing. So hold on, we have to fix this. We have to fix all this. That's not better. Well, it's a little better, but not much better. Okay, that's better. Alright, chat. Everyone's voting Slytherin, and then Ravenclaw, and then Gryffindor. Poor Hufflepuff. I feel like Hufflepuff is just kind of a group of losers. Oh, it is what it is, though. Alright, river or forest? Forest for sure. Which of the following do you find most difficult to deal with? Loneliness, boredom, hunger, being ignored, cold. Also, there's like 5 different set of tests that this website will give you. The most difficult to deal with. We're gonna go with cold. How would you like to be known to history? What kind of character am I role-playing, right? We're not evil, but we're not a hero. The great, the wise, the bold, the good. Such lame answers. We're gonna go the wise. What are you looking forward to learning at Hogwarts? All about magical creatures. Flying on a broomstick. Apparition and disparition. Secrets about the castle. Transfiguration. Hexes and jinxes. Every area of magic I can. I mean, clearly, it's gonna be every area of magic. What kind of instrument most pleases your ears? The piano, the drum, the violin, or the trumpet? Definitely piano. Violin is nice, though. Not biased. You and two friends need to cross a bridge guarded by a river troll who insists on fighting one of you before he will let you all pass. What do? Kick that motherfucker in the face. Okay, volunteer to fight. Attempt to confuse the troll into letting all three of you pass without fighting? Question mark? Suggesting that all three of you should fight. Suggesting drawing lots to decide which you will fight. Trying to confuse the troll. I'm not fucking fighting a troll. But I am a wizard, so I guess I could. I'm not fucking fighting a troll. If you were attending Hogwarts... Oh, see... I love owls. Owls are really cool, but clearly I gotta pick cats. Oh my god, it's Bilbo. Ginger cat. White cat. It's Cloud. Siamese cat. I've never met a real Siamese cat. I think that they're fake. Tabby cat. Black cat. Funny story, almost got a black cat before I got Bilbo. While I love Bilbo, and he's orange and great, and while I would typically pick a white cat, because white cats are really cool, I gotta pick a tabby cat, because Mesh is a tabby cat, and, well, I have to pick Mesh. White or black? Black. Uh-oh. Oh, I'm not ready! I'm not ready to get sorted into Gryffindor again for the third time! I'm not ready! Black? Well, I don't have a black cat. You know? I gotta choose Mesh. I know, I'm not even gonna look! I'm not even gonna look! I don't want to see that I'm in Gryffindor again! I don't want to see that I'm in Gryffindor again. Whoa, I actually got my fucking house for once! This test isn't rigged! I swear, ooh, let me get on my tinfoil hat real quick. I swear that this stupid fucking website just takes your birth date and has like generic fucking zodiacs. It's like, oh, you're a Scorpio, you're gonna get into this house or that house. Oh, hell yeah. First try. I'm fucking good at this shit. I knew I wasn't a Gryffindor. I knew I wasn't. You guys tried to convince me. You tried to gaslight me. I knew that I wasn't a Gryffindor. I knew the tests were always wrong. Nice. Nice. Jesus Christ. Not rigged today. I love Ravenclaw. I am more than happy to be a Ravenclaw. The one time I like birds, I will happily represent the bird. You are so smart. Uh-oh. I haven't seen it in chat yet, but someone's gonna go, you cheated. Okay, Patronus time. Uh-oh. This is where things get scary. There's music. Oh, there's music. Whoa. Cool. I'm gonna get a shitty fucking Patronus, aren't I? It's gonna be like a chipmunk, isn't it? You have to choose fast? I have to choose fast? The questions are timed. Go with your instincts. I don't like stress. Okay. Instincts. I don't like things being timed. I need time to think. Okay. A blade. How fast do I have to choose? Oh. It's lagging. Sweet. I don't like stress. Oh, the game is lagging. It's 2 FPS. Under. This game is 2 FPS. I don't like this. Oh. forever. Oh, I'm so good at this. This part does not matter because it's not in the game. I saw that. I saw that the Patronus doesn't matter. That makes me so sad. Is there gonna be like a different Patronus system in the game? I hope so. A rat! Oh my, no, dude. Oh my, I told you I'd get the dumbest thing, dude. A shrew? Oh man, this shit is rigged. I knew it. Bro, I finally got my house and I get a shrew. Oh my god, this is trash, dude. Oh my god, I hate this. No, 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 no. I can do it again. Oh, stupid. Oh my god. What does your Patronus say about you? What is the rat, okay? You could get a unicorn, a stack. I didn't even get a wood mouse. I got a shrew. So stupid. Dolphin, a cat, a fox. It's not even on this list. If you have a mouse, no, I don't have a wood mouse. It's not even on this list. That's how bad it was. Oh my god, dude. Man, we need to cancel this game. What? No, 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 no. I gotta go to Google. Shrew Patronus. It's not even on the website. It's so bad. Known and excelling in business environments, being leaders, and sometimes being intimidating. Bruh, it's a mouse. What? The Shrew Patronus breaks the mold. That's how you know we're fucked, because Google has to pat me on the back. Stupid. It's trash. At least I got the house I wanted. Okay, 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 okay. Quizzes and puzzles. Let's go back. We'll do it again. You're so generic, you didn't even make the list. Classic female. Okay, find your wand. This one, okay, so I don't understand this because apparently the wands carry over into the game, but also it leaked. The wand system, you customize your wand. First of all, would you describe yourself as, I'd say, average, and your eyes are blue? What day were you born? An even number. What do you pride yourself most on? My imagination. Traveling alone down a deserted road, you reach a crossroads. Left towards the sea, right towards the castle, ahead to the forest, to the castle. What do you fear most? Fire, darkness, isolation, heights, small spaces? Heights. Or small spaces. Either is fine, to be honest. In a chest of magical artifacts, which would you choose? Dagger, key, mirror, bottle, jewel, glove, scroll. If the glove fits, shrink it. A scroll. I don't know what that means, but whoa! Laurel wood with a unicorn core. Okay. A laurel wand cannot perform a dishonorable act, although in the quest for glory. I have known wands perform powerful and sometimes lethal magic. That's great. That's me. A unicorn core. Isn't there like unicorn, dragon? What's the other one? Phoenix, I want to say? Consistent magic and is least subject to fluctuations and blockages. Wands with unicorn cores are generally the most difficult to turn into the dark arts. Oh, so I'm a soy boy. That's great. They are the most faithful of all wands and usually remain strongly attached to their first owner. I remember the last time that we did a wand quiz, we got We got an Elder Wand. We didn't this time. Cool. Slightly springy flexibility. Well, chat, we did our tests. We have a Laurel Wand. We have a stupid rat Patronus, and we are in Ravenclaw. Honestly, the house is worth it for me. The having Ravenclaw is good enough for me. Fuck unicorn. Unicorns are stupid. Out of every mythical creature, I'm not picking a unicorn. Not a dragon, a phoenix, literally anything else. A unicorn? I'm not a unicorn girl. Unicorn's just not it. But yeah. We have done all of our quizzes, chat, and there's no more quizzes we can do. So with that being said, we're going to be wrapping up the stream in a couple minutes. So, if you have any questions, comments, topics, feel free to leave them in chat. But that was fun. I'm glad that we have everything sorted. I'm glad that we're ready to go. We have, I don't even know if the wand really matters, because again, I saw wand customization on the website, or on the leak, but at least we got Ravenclaw, and honestly, I'm happy with that. Can you link the site in Discord? Yeah, I'll link the site in just a little bit when I'm done stream. I'll put it in the video game channel, just because we're talking about Legacy. I'm gonna change my wand. Yeah, I don't know how much the wand matters here, because apparently it carries over, but also I saw people customizing wands in the leaks, so we'll see. But yeah, chat, this is what we will be starting Legacy with on Tuesday. I'm very excited. I was hoping I was gonna get Ravenclaw, and we did, and I said whatever the results were, we would go for that house. I'm just glad it wasn't Gryffindor. I can't deal with Gryffindor. But yeah, we'll wrap up stream in a minute. I'm glad that we did this. This week, guys, schedule will be a bit different. On Saturday, I will be streaming. I don't know at this point what I'm going to be streaming, because we did finish Dead Space Remake. Maybe we'll just play like Modern Warfare or Warzone 2, or maybe we could start Hi-Fi Rush. We'll play something on Saturday, and I will be taking Sunday off, because next week I'm going to be streaming basically every day. Because on Tuesday, the Hogwarts Legacy Early Access starts, so I will be streaming Tuesday, Wednesday, probably Thursday, and like Saturday, Sunday. So we're going to be doing that next week. And yeah, I'm really happy that we got Ravenclaw and we got the tests done. I was initially going to do them at the start of the Hogwarts Legacy stream, but we're just going to want to get into the game. So, yeah. Hi-Fi Rush. So I do want to stream Hi-Fi Rush. My only worry is that I don't know if I want to start Hi-Fi Rush, because there's going to be such a large gap in time. Because if we play Hi-Fi Rush on Saturday, then we won't be playing it for at least a couple of weeks. So I might wait to start it, but I do want to play it at some point. I don't know how long it is. So I'll have to look into it. I don't know, though. A unicorn is just a horse with a broom handle on its head. Exactly! Unicorns are overrated. That's okay. You can't get everything you want all the time. And I got 1 out of 3. So, that's fine with me. I'll have to look up how Patronus works in the game, because I'd assume that there is some kind of Patronus system. But it doesn't carry over from these test results, so I don't know. I'll have to look into it. But who knows? Are you signing wands? If they weren't so expensive. Shit is not cheap. I could go outside and find some sticks, though. Call them a wand. You can change it in the game. That's cool. I haven't looked at much for Legacy because, of course, I want it to be a blind playthrough. I want to go in fairly blind. I don't want to know everything, but I have been keeping my eye on some of the leaks. Lamar, thank you for the $2 super chat right at the end of stream. Do you like Harry Potter? I do. I do. But alright guys, with that being said, I'm gonna wrap up the live stream here. Thank you all so much for stopping by tonight. I do really appreciate it. Check out links in the description, follow me on social media, join our Discord server. Thank you for hanging out and doing all the tests, for, you know, listening to my rants and ramblings. But yeah, next stream will be Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern. I don't know what we'll be streaming yet. I will of course let you know. But yeah, join our Discord server, follow me on social media. Also, check out today's video on Hogwarts Legacy if you have not seen it already. Thank you all so much for stopping by, and have a fantastic evening, everyone.